Hello there, and welcome to episode 239 of the FlameFlash.net podcast. I'm yours truly, Flameflash, and just diving back into another week. Happy Trans Day of Visibility, my friends. I lost a Facebook friend today over it. I have no idea who. I just watched as suddenly my count went from 88 to 87. It's like, well, good riddance. I'm surprised you stayed that long because of all the other things I've been posting, but if that's what did it, goodbye. Better off without you. And that's all there is to it. Um, Today, the Supreme Court, of course, decided in their, I don't want to say infinite wisdom because that would be sarcastic in this. They chose to strike down a conversion therapy ban in Colorado, a law under First Amendment grounds. Now, the legal scholars, the legal individuals looking closely at this case, the big question is, did the individual who was suing even have standing? Now, for legal terms, standing is, are they being harmed by the law? Do they have a reason to sue? So exceptions are made for standing. We wouldn't have a successful lawsuit from a pregnant woman advocating for their rights as a pregnant individual if they gave birth afterwards. A court could try to claim they didn't have standing because they were no longer pregnant. So there are situations where a lack of standing does apply because at the time of filing, they had standing. Now, I bring this up because the psychologist or psychiatrist that brought the case against the Colorado state was seeking standing based on a hypothetical client. It wasn't a real client. They were a hypothetical client who wanted to pursue conversion talk therapy. Now, this did not strike down the Colorado state ban on physical conversion therapy, only the talk portion of conversion therapy. So before people get super worried about the harm, it was a theoretical, hypothetical client that the psychiatrist sued regarding, and it was for only talk therapy. So it would have been getting in the same room with this particular psychologist and talking about conversion, which is a barbaric practice. I'm just going to go out and, draw that line because that line needs to be drawn. Conversion therapy is barbaric. Now, when we go to the Supreme Court ruling itself and the the concurrent opinions, so it was an 8-1 decision, but the concurrent opinions wrote that their reasoning was actually with foresight. It was actually with the thought that if they didn't strike this down, conservative states could interfere and ban whatever the therapy is called, talk therapy, for affirming being a member of the LGBT community. So these justices went, if we ban conversion therapy here in a blue state, talk therapy, if we uphold this, I see with my legal crystal ball, says the, justice, that there are going to be red conservative states that turn right around and start trying to block talk therapy based on affirming the LGBT community. So don't count this as a full loss. I would consider it a neutral decision based on the logic of the concurring opinion. They are trying to set up protection down the road from actions of conservative states. And with that logic applied, it is a very neutral position because the hypothetical patient who wanted conversion therapy doesn't exist. And we are therefore protecting affirming talk therapy from being meddled with based on this precedent in other states. So there's your bench, your armchair quarterbacking, Supreme Court lawyering flame flash for the evening. In other news, the orange one is still carrying on his illegal war against Iran, but that's that. Prices are still high, prices are continuing to rise. There is direct market manipulation going on from the orange one and somebody else behind the scenes. So there are records being noted of buying of stocks and dumping of stocks in anticipation of various announcements from President Trump based on the Iran war. So that is something that when the blue wave hopefully hits, gets investigated pretty heavily. We should at this point just get a constitutional amendment banning anyone in the federal government from owning stock in companies. Sure, so they're not, losing their property or whatnot. Maybe make it so that they're forced to put them in blind trusts or something so that they don't have any knowledge of what stocks are actually owned and therefore they can't make decisions or say things that are going to impact said stocks. Do something like that if you want to, but the fact of the matter is there was direct and purposeful market manipulation. There just was. Now, the No Kings protest on Saturday is estimated to have had 8 million people. That's approximately 2.3% of the United States population. 2.3% of the United States population went out to protest President Trump. That's pretty incredible. In comparison, the second No Kings protest in October 2025 was about 7 million people, so we added a million people. Given that some folks who would be attending live out in the middle of nowhere, this is starting to make sense. So we'll see where it goes. I am hopeful that see this article randomly says about 3.5% of the population. So I'd probably say this article is more accurate than my last estimate. So 3.5% of the United States population. Oh, okay. It's this is an estimate that it's based on trends going to hit 12 million, which is the magic 3.5%. Got it. Misread that. My previous percentage was accurate. But there we are. We are getting there. A bit of amusing protest is that since President Trump likes to see his name redacted so frequently, if and when you get a dollar bill with his signature on it, you should take a Sharpie to it. Perfectly legal to do so. There's nothing wrong with said action. So By doing that, you are signaling a protest. And as this currency gets printed and enters circulation, it will be interesting to hopefully see these bills receive that black mark on a regular basis. I know I will do my part. When I successfully roll perception and notice that his name is on one of the bills. Otherwise, in gaming, I did successfully get my character Draconius to level 81, which is quite the feat given I just haven't had much gaming time recently. And attempted to play some Battlefield 6. Still not the best. It's not for me. Um, I will play it socially, and that's the only way I'll play it. Repo is still a hot game among the family. And Humble Bundle right now is hosting a Humble Heroines. You pay at least $18 and you get all 6 games. They all have right around an 80% positive rating on Steam, and they're Steam codes. They should work on the Steam Deck if you can get your hands on one of those. And they look interesting. I know Eastward is one that has been of interest to me for a while. Otherwise, Cabernet, Cabernet, um, Araban, Ano, The Medium, and Sorry We're Closed. I'm not overly familiar with the rest of those, but they look entertaining. If I go ahead and get that Humble Bundle, a lot of them will end up in the backlog, but it'll be worth it. Right now, the charity is Girls Make Games Scholarship Fund at Humble Bundle. I'm not sponsored in any way, shape, or form, so I'm just calling it out. This collection looks interesting. It looks good to me, and so I am calling it out. I'm going to wrap here. I'd like to go play some World of Warcraft, but first I need to, edit and post this. So I need to buy some time. Remember, my friends, though, freedom and autonomy are the rights of all sentient beings, any day and every day, but especially on the day of transvisibility. My words are my own. If you'd like to leave a comment, podcast@flameflash.net, or you can find me in the various places that these are posted and leave a comment directly there, like on YouTube. I don't believe there are any pending comments, but we will go and look real fast. Nope. So we'll go from there. Take care, my friends. Be safe.